Very big news day today. We're following 4 breaking news stories. Nunes has stepped aside from the Russia probe. Republicans have gone nuclear to get Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch confirmed. The U.S. may be moving closer to taking action in Syria following Tuesday's chemical attack. And a high-stakes meeting is about to take place on North Korea between President Trump and China's leader Xi Jinping. We begin with the House investigation of Russia's meddling with our election this morning, and Battle Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes stepped aside from leading the probe as his chamber's ethics committee investigates whether he improperly disclosed classified information. Texas Republican Mike Conaway will take over for Nunes with assistance from Congressman Trey Gowdy and Tom Rooney. Ranking Member Adam Schiff says it was, after all, the right thing to do.
I think it is in the best interest of the investigation. It will, I think, allow us to have a fresh start moving forward. This, I think, investigation is of such critical importance that we need to get fully back on track. It is, I think, worth noting that the investigation never went into hiatus. We've been continuing to develop our witness lists, to work out some of the logistics in terms of how we bring people before the committee, what the process will be.
The White House says Nunes' temporary recusal doesn't change the substance of the surveillance issue. Earlier this afternoon, President Trump said he thinks Nunes is a good and honorable person. Now, KG, there are whispers that Nunes decided to step aside, not down, but step aside, after speaking with Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan didn't answer that question when asked directly.
Right. He's probably not going to disclose that. They're private or confidential discussions about it, but it seems like there's something there. There's many people that feel that Nunes didn't do anything wrong. He received this information and therefore was honest, transparent, and disclosed it. It seems that the main objection was the way, the manner in which, and the order, the chronology of events in terms of, was he to, obligated to notify the other people on the committee first before he went public with that? And that seems to be a matter of protocol versus any kind of improper action or activity on his part. I mean, ultimately, this is something we do want to know about, and he put the interests of the American people ahead of perhaps maybe thinking about, in sound judgment, what might not be beneficial to him personally, and disclose this information. And now we're aware of it. Schiff had the information and didn't.
Juan, what are you hearing? What do you think? What the reason for Nunes to step aside?
Well, it's the Ethics Committee is now looking into the fact that he disclosed information that at the time he didn't have the authority to disclose. And so he was used by the White House as it was trying to build a case that somehow President Trump had told the truth when he said President Obama had him wiretapped. And that still is not the case. But Nunes got himself really, I think, in the crosshairs of the ethics of the investigation, first and foremost. But secondly, with his own party, with Paul Ryan, the Speaker. Ryan really wants the House to have some credibility, and he does not want Adam Schiff and the Democrats to be able to say that Republicans are the ones who fell in line with the Trump's effort to throw up a smokescreen around this. He wants the House to maintain its credibility, and as a result, Nunes had to go.
Danny, do you think this is a good idea can I just throw this in here? I think Devin Nunes is an honorable and a very, very good congressman, and also was the right guy to lead this committee. I wish he hadn't stepped down. It feels to me like it's been a little bit of leadership pressure for him to do it, but is that the right thing to do?
I think you have to take Congressman Nunes at his word. And I mean, I know that there's this desire to try to paint Paul Ryan as somebody who is like always getting in the way of the far right or whoever, the pro-Trump people getting support. But I think it has actually been Paul Ryan that has been supportive of President Trump on the agenda. And I actually think that if Nunes came to Ryan and said, there's this ethics investigation, do you think I should step aside? It seems just prudent to do so in order to protect the integrity of the investigation and to make sure that the House can continue to have an investigation. When the senators came out and spoke a week ago, they were so measured and they work in a bipartisan way, and people have confidence in that investigation. Pretty much nobody had confidence in the House investigation. At least they don't even have a good relationship between the two of them, Republican and Democrat. But the thing is that the Democrats don't seem to think that Representative Conaway is any better. If you look at some of the response about him today, it just feels so broken and partisan. And for an intelligence investigation to go forward and to have some measure of credibility, I think stepping aside while the Ethics Committee looks at the allegation, I think it's prudent.
Well, Greg, what about completely stepping aside? What about the whole committee stepping aside and handing it over to the Senate?
Maybe. I don't blame Nunes whatsoever for leaving. Clearly, he was tired of people ruining his good name. Literally, they kept mispronouncing it every single day. He said he had it. Oh, kind of was hoping they would replace him with Steve Bannon. But you know when somebody says they're doing something out of their best interest, that means they're being forced. It's like second to, I'm going to spend more time with my family as an excuse for leaving quickly. But I don't really think that this is big news. So he steps aside. So what? You're just going to replace him with a Republican. It's not like replacing old Darren with new Darren on Bewitched, which frankly ruined the show. You're just going to get Trey Gowdy and somebody else. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Saying, like,
no one gets hurt.
The Democrats are already trying to sully the reputation of Conaway. He hasn't even said anything.
Well, why doesn't Adam Schiff step aside then as well? I mean, there are a lot, or why does it have to raise to the level that it has to be a formal complaint against Adam Schiff by another House member? Hey, by the way, House, a complaint about Adam Schiff where he went out on a limb and said he had direct evidence that something was going on, and he's never proved or came forward with that evidence. He's walked that back, in fact.
You know, it's not an eye for an eye here, Eric. I mean, really, I think Republican or Democrat, Paul Ryan or Adam Schiff, they can say, hey, you know, Devin Nunes got caught up in something here where he was being used by people inside the White House, later revealed to be members of the National Security Council, to try to create an excuse for President Trump. And, I mean, it's just not, I mean, so, you know, clearly you have Schiff and the Democrats on the committee who say not only did he disclose information he didn't have the authority to disclose, but secondly, he didn't go through the congressional process. He didn't come back, share it with the committee, and then say, the committee has seen this evidence, and here's what I think of it, which still would have been inappropriate.
But he still maintains that he did everything properly.
Right, and here's the, so people are going to object because maybe he put the cart before the horse, et cetera. But what he did do was he told the truth, and he revealed the information, and he was, it was two NSC staffers, not specific White House personnel, that helped him pull up those documents in the SCIF room.
They're White House staff.
Well, okay, they're NSC.
National staff of the White House.
Right. It's not other White House personnel or people outside of it. It's people who are able to see that information, is my point.
Let's move on to the part that the Democrats don't want to talk about. Susan Rice and her role in unmasking of the identities of the Trump team members from intelligence reports. We're now learning, and this onion keeps blooming, we're now learning that those reports contain personal, detailed information about them, completely unrelated to Russia or national security, and that is important. Here's Intelligence Committee member Peter King.
This was information about their everyday lives, who they were talking with, who they were meeting, where they were going to eat. Really nothing of any substance or value unless you're just trying to lay out a dossier on somebody, sort of like in a divorce case where lawyers are hired or investigators are hired to just find out what a person is doing from morning till night, and then you try to piece it together later on.
Okay, Dan, aside from leaking, which we get to later on when the information comes forward, but the unmasking, again, has to have some sort of national security threat in order to demand the, the groups, NSA, CIA, or FBI to unmask. And it looks like this had nothing to do with national security.
Well, how do you know that?
I just heard
based on what we know.
The report that came out.
But none of us have seen it. None of us know. None of us were there. And that's why there's an investigation. It's uncomfortable to comment on an intelligence investigation when we have no intelligence to comment on.
I mean, this came from, I'm not positive, I think Adam Hauser is the one who reported this last night and this morning.
I agree that there could be something there, but I don't. But you're asking me
personal in nature, not national security threat in nature.
I'm not able to comment on it because I haven't seen it, and it's not appropriate to do so. If she did something wrong, it will come out. There's an investigation. She said that I think that she said she would be willing to go up and talk to them, so that will take place.
Okay, I'm sorry. That may be Catherine Herridge who may have reported that. Anyone want to comment? I
think both sides have to agree that their scandal matters. You know, Don Lemon on CNN says, we're not going to report on this. And then, we go like, this is more important than collusion. For the Democrats, it's the Russian collusion. For the Republicans, it's the leaks. They both matter. And what do you do when you have two kids in the back seat and one kid wants pizza and the other kid wants a cheeseburger? You go to the Cheesecake Factory so you can have cheesecake or cheeseburgers and you can have pizza. The Cheesecake Factory here is an investigation where you look at everything. Just say, we're going to look at all and we're going to find out the answers, because this is going to go on for 4 years. The left is going to be talking about collusion and the right's going to be talking about leaks, and it's going to keep going, these two tracks, for 4 years. Are you going to be able to stomach that?
Yeah, I think it was an abundance of caution. He tried to do that, and probably, yes, there was party pressure and interest to say, listen, let's be above any kind of reproach. It makes sense. We're trying to get health care reorganized. We're trying to get taxes redone and regulations taken care of. There's a lot on the plate. There's North Korea to deal with in a substantive way. There's Syria to deal with. There's a visit from China today that's significant internationally. So therefore, he kind of did what Sessions did, which was said, I'm going to remove myself from this as a lightning rod. Now, I mean, White House insiders will know what the real deal is.
Let me pose a question to my good friend Juan, who I have yet to hear a really good answer from a liberal from the left. Why would an Obama appointee, Susan Rice, demand from the NSA, FBI, and CIA the unmasking of Trump team of names? And now we know even further, not just names, but all they had, the information that they had that they demanded, she was demanding dozens of times, had to do with personal information, nothing to do with Russians, and not of national security risk in nature.
Well, I think this is pretty obvious, but I'll state it for you, which is Susan Rice, as National Security Advisor to the President, gets these documents. Her job is to look out for America's national interest, our interest, especially when there's a threat from abroad, in this case the Russians intervening in our election. She looks at this and she requests, she can't demand, she can request of the intelligence agencies who are these people either they're talking about or who are on the intercepts themselves talking. I don't know which one is the case. And then once you know that, then you would want to know background information on people as to whether or not, for example, money's pouring into bank accounts from overseas.
Here's the rub, though, Juan. The agencies charged with keeping track of those things, the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA, all did not deem those names necessary to be unmasked in order to further an investigation. So
I don't know that.
Eyeballs on the alleged or risky illegal activity didn't feel it necessary to unmask.
I don't know that, Eric, but I don't think that that's possible.
Rice asked on more than 24 occasions, I guess, to unmask these names. Other than political reasons, there seems to be no other reason to do that.
This is what's striking to me, because I have such respect for the question, but there is not one person in the intelligence community in this country who would tell you, if they were seated here, that this is anything out of the ordinary for the National Security Advisor reading these intercepts to say, well, who are they talking about, or who is involved that's an American that potentially is collaborating with one of our enemies?
They didn't feel the need to do that.
But they didn't make a finding that there was. Okay, here's the deal.
Her job is. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to explain to you, because I hear what you're saying. But you're saying, listen, we can't assume that she had some kind of untoward intent there.
I don't see any of it so
the
far.
issue is whether or not, and especially it's completely different when you're dealing with foreign nationals versus AMCETs, American citizens. So there has to be some kind of substantive reason or belief that there is some kind of collusion or collaboration. So absent of that, you're not supposed to unmask. So the question is, why did these national security agencies, FBI, et cetera, say, we don't find a reason to do it, and they listened and know the content, but she did? That's what I want to know.
It took 24 requests to unmask Flynn's name.
No, dozens of requests with different questions, not necessarily the unmasking this first.
The thing is, she didn't have any untoward intent when she blamed terror on a video. Maybe the intent doesn't matter. Maybe it's just pure stupidity and incompetence or political partisanship.
You think you're making her into your whipping boy? I mean, this goes back to Benghazi.
No,
I would never do that. No, I'm pointing out that she was somebody who blamed a terror incident, a terror attack in Benghazi on a video. I don't trust her judgment.
And what came of that?
And that was a partisan.
What came of that?
And that was a partisan.
Look to her buddy.
Purely partisan.
Look to her buddy and her deputy, Ben Rhodes.